Hello, music lovers. My name is Carter, and welcome back to Recording Records. Today, the girls are fighting again, so we are going to be giving the complete story on the drama, the feud between Lana Del Rey and Ethel Cain. No one has given the full context, and after hours in research, I have come to the full context, and so I'm going to provide you everything that we know about this drama, because it goes so much deeper than you could possibly imagine. So I guess we'll go and get into it. Let's go and introduce our parties. I'm going to skip introducing Lana. We know who Lana is, but I'm going to introduce Ethel Cain. So Hayden Salas Anhedonia created this character named Ethel Cain. It's a stage name the same way Kaylee Rose has the stage name Chapel Roan. And so Ethel Cain has this story. The character Ethel Cain, the stage name, is the story of this daughter who is the daughter of a father who was a preacher who passed away. And to put it shortly, Ethel Cain is a victim of trauma from family death and also a victim of sexual abuse. There is a whole extensive lore I will not cover just because it's so extensive. I'll link a video in the bio. There's a good video on the lore. I'll link in the bio if you want to check it out. But Ethel Cain essentially makes novels out of her albums, where each album is a story. This is what we refer to as concept albums, but Ethel Cain does something so unique where rather than making an album where it has a story, all of her albums are connected to each other as stories, almost like, well, not all of her, but she has albums that are connected to each other, almost like a book series where it goes through the story of this character and you fall from this book to this book to this book, and the scenarios are ever changing. So, again, a lot of lore. I'm condensing it, but to put it bluntly, it's a story of trauma. Ethel Cain makes music about deep trauma. She makes what is basically gothic, alternative pop with sometimes a rock style that is very clearly inspired by the other party, Lana Del Rey herself, Lana is kind of the queen of world building in pop music and the queen of making meaningful pop music that's not just made for radio success. Now, Ethel Cain's not inspired only by Lana. She's heavily inspired by Florence and the Machine, for example. And Ethel Cain's music is also so vastly different from Lana's. Ethel Cain is a Floridian, whereas Lana Del Rey is a New Yorker. So Ethel Cain's music has that southern feel to a lot of it. It has southern story to it, where it's a lot more rural, especially with Preacher's Daughter, where we get a preacher being a more common thing probably in the South. So it's a lot more Southern, whereas Lana, you have the high class elements of songs like Off to the Races from that New Yorker perspective. Not exactly perspective you get from Ethel Cain's music. Ethel Cain's music is also a lot more folkish, so they're completely different music, but the influence between the two is obvious. That has to be stated because it's an integral part of the story. Now, to introduce you to Hayden Salas, I'll just refer to her as Ethel Cain to keep it simple. But referring to the person herself, Ethel Cain is kind of a queen of controversy. Whether it's wearing shirts about incest or admission of using racial slurs or asking for the assassination of 46 U.S. President Joe Biden, she's very controversial. In a world so quick to cancel anyone for anything they ever do wrong, with the digital footprint being everywhere and you can find all the wrongdoings of someone, Ethel Cain does things that are so wrong and they are taboo and outrageous, and they generate clicks. They generate interest. And so it is in itself a marketing strategy, but I wouldn't be surprised to say I don't think all of the outrageous things she does are marketing strategies. I mean, admittedly, she is diagnosed with autism. She claims to be a victim of trauma, which I definitely believe. I mean, you don't go through nothing and write Preacher's Daughter. I mean, absolutely, there's definitely something there. And so it seems in many ways Ethel Cain just kind of acts on an impulse and seems to do what she thinks is right or what she thinks she should do or what she thinks is cool or funny without really a care for the perception of the doing. But to get to the point of our drama today, Ethel Cain blew up onto the scene in 2022 after releasing Preacher's Daughter. And so once she became big, once she just got on the scene immediately, people were like, Who is Ethel Cain? Because when someone new comes, we have to understand what it is. And a lot of the ways we understand what things are is we quantify it with things we know. This happens all the time. Not like in general, a new product comes on, it's like, oh yeah, that's like that thing I know already. But also it happens in the music world a lot. Like Olivia Rodrigo, when she became big, people were like, oh yeah, that's like Taylor Swift. Olivia Rodrigo, yeah, that's kind of like Taylor Swift. So Olivia got put in the Taylor Swift box. Olivia Rodrigo had to stop talking about Taylor Swift publicly because she stated Taylor clearly as inspiration. She had to stop talking about Taylor publicly because she didn't want to be in the Taylor box. Ethel Cain comes onto the scene. This is Ethel Cain. Ethel Cain gets put into, I'm trying to do this while holding a microphone. She gets put into the Lana box. Pitchfork reviews Preacher's Daughter. So 2022, Preacher's Daughter comes out. Pitchfork reviews it and starts off the article with, Ethel Cain presented herself as a kind of American Gothic Lana Del Rey. Clash writes about the song Gibson Girl off of Preacher's Daughter and writes that it drips with American Gothic eroticism with stylistic echoes of Lana Del Rey. Beats Per Minute writes about the song Western Nights off the album and says, the dark pop rock fusion Western Nights, meanwhile, recalls ultraviolence era Lana Del Rey. Crack writes about the album, its grouper-like intimacy with Genesis proportions, Lana Del Rey inspired by big tent revivalism and body horror. DIY Magazine calls the album inspired by Florence Welch and Lana Del Rey, both of whom find influence deep under the gothic middle America twang of Preacher's Daughter. Pace Magazine writes about the album, the glamorous and aphrodisiac sound of Lana Del Rey is undoubtedly there. NPR, despite differentiating the two artists, still brings up Lana as a comparison in the review of Preacher's Daughter. So Ethel Cain, once again, is put in the Lana box. Now, there's nothing inherently wrong with this. Like, if I'm writing an article, it's a way to familiarize my readers with who they are reading about. That way, they understand what they're hearing, they can connect it with something they know, as well as the fact that they, it can generate hype for them. Like, let's say you're a Lana fan, you hear about Ethel Cain, she's like the new Lana. Well, now I want to check out Ethel Cain. It also can be beneficial for artists because, like, a lot of reasons artists early on their career do covers is because at the time where you're new, you're not connected with the artist. But if you connect with music that they already know, then they'll start connecting you with that music, and they already have a favoritism towards it. So it can be beneficial, but at the same time, with someone who is so, it finds like their creative process so big into their music, it's not like they just want to make music. The music they make is so purposeful. It's like a novel. It's like a story, and the storytelling is so important to you. This clearly bothers Ethel Cain because this can limit kind of your own creative control over your perception. And Ethel Cain wants to have that full control over her perception. This is her story. And so this very clearly bothers Ethel Cain. Ethel Cain goes to Tumblr and says, I'm getting compared to that lady till the day I die, aren't I? She goes to Twitter, and I believe a now deleted tweet, I can't find it, but she says, I love Lana and I love her music, but there's 100 other things at play here. If that's an entryway for a review, that's fine. But sometimes people arrive at Lana Del Rey and they stop at Lana Del Rey. And yeah, I call it lazy writing because it's lazy for me and her. She also goes to her Wikipedia page and removes mentions of Lana. By 2022, someone wrote in her Wikipedia page the following paragraph. In 2022, Cain released her debut studio album, Preacher's Daughter, to widespread acclaim from music critics, many of whom called it one of her best albums of the year. Now, some user comes by and looks at the edit of the article, and they're like, I can't verify that many critics called it one of the best albums of the year. So they come up with a new paragraph, and that paragraph says, in 2022, Cain released her debut studio album, Preacher's Daughter, which won her praise as an American Gothic Lana Del Rey. So she's mentioning Lana Del Rey as inspiration, and it's kind of defining her as American Gothic Lana Del Rey instead of just Ethel Cain. And, you know, they do this because on Wikipedia, many people don't know this, but Wikipedia, you can't just, it's not like an article where you can just write whatever you want. Wikipedia is a conglomeration of sources, basically. Then Ethel Cain, or who we presume is Ethel Cain because of a shared username with her old social medias that we know are Ethel Cain, as well as the dating of this account back to 2018 before her first ever release. So there's no way this is a fan account, who we presume is Ethel Cain, goes to that paragraph that mentions Lana, deletes it, and adds back the old paragraph about many critics claiming it to be the best album of one of the best albums of the year. She takes away the paragraph mentioning her to Lana, comparing her to Lana, and removes it and adds her own paragraph. Maybe she likes that one better, but given what we already know of her kind of not liking being always compared to her, suspicious to say the least. It just seems so clear to me that she was trying to distance herself from Lana, and I get that, but she's trying to erase that Lana Del Rey influence that she very clearly used to be state was a very big influence on her. She's trying to kind of erase that history. She's trying to get out of that Lana Del Rey label. There was also the Jack Donahue saga. Lana dated producer Jack Donahue in 2022, and things went public when, on Jack's Instagram, he posted a photo with Lana in front of a Cook County jail in Chicago. Here is Lana Del Rey with Jack Donahue. Now here is Ethel Cain with Jack Donahue. She posted this with the title, "Okay, wait, my turn," which seems like a reference to Lana, like it's my turn to post with this guy. Editor's update, we can pretty much reasonably conclude that this is exactly what happened, that Ethel Cain saw Lana's post and then said, now it's my turn to post with Jack Donahue, because this picture is taken from, presumably, a music video recording for God Country off of her 2021 EP/album, Inbred, meaning, entailing that she had this photo in her phone and then saw the tweet and went back to her phone to find it and then post it. So we can pretty reasonably conclude that this was directed at Lana. There is no coincidence here. Additionally, we can conclude, and we'll get into this later, but people accuse Ethel Cain of, in this photo, recreating and reenacting Lana's pose with Jack Donahue, whereas the truth is that this photo existed prior to the photo of Lana and Jack Donahue together, therefore meaning this is not a reenactment. This existed prior to the thing that she's being accused of reenacting. There was also that time when someone tweeted, Lana Del Rey walked so Ethel Cain could run, and Ethel Cain quote tweeted this with a caption, "I pushed her over when I ran past. She'll never catch up to me in her Macy's dress." You know, a total diss. She pushed her down and she moved past her. She's so far past Lana, and because she so clearly wants to distance herself from Lana. There was Lana. That's in the past. I'm my own person now. She wants that creative control over her branding. Now, this is all a while back. Fast forward to today. Lana Del Rey is publicly working on releasing her next album. Lana posts to her Instagram a song that she titles Track 13, and in this post, she tags Jack Antonoff. And in this post is a song that has the lyrics. Ethel Cain hated my Instagram post, thinking it's cute, reenacting my Chicago pose, not afraid to say I'm going down in flames. The most famous girl at the Waffle House. This is obviously referencing her own Instagram post, or I think Jack's Instagram post. I think she might have posted too. I'm uncertain. It's not a post anymore. But the post with Jack Donahue, and then referencing Ethel Cain's reenactment of it. Now, let's take a second. I know we're in the present. We're going to take it back to 2022 again. The most famous girl at the Waffle House seems to be a self-celebratory line from Lana that's supposed to diss Ethel Cain, who was called by the New York Times the most famous girl at the Waffle House for making music from rural Alabama. This was from 2022. Then, right after, probably not purposeful, but it's fun to think that way, in 2023, the next year, Lana was found being a waitress at Waffle House in Florence, Alabama. Kind of ironic that the town is called Florence, given Ethel Cain's connection to Florence the Machine, but I think that's totally... given Lana's background with Florence, that's totally unpurposeful, but that's funny to think about. But this story just completely blew up, making Ethel Cain not just not the most famous girl at Waffle House, but Ethel Cain was no longer the most famous girl at Waffle House in Alabama. That was Lana. When he thought about Waffle House, everyone was like, "Oh yeah, that's Lana." She managed to make a big PR story connecting her to Waffle House. So that's what that line's about. So Lana makes that video. She posts it. The Instagram page Pop Base reposts this video. They're a news story. So they repost the video. They tagged Lana and Ethel Cain in the post. And they added the caption, Lana Del Rey and her new song, hashtag Ethel Cain hated my Instagram post. Lana, seeing that she was tagged, I'm assuming, comments under this post. And she says, I didn't know who Ethel Cain was until a few years ago, when someone brought to my attention the disturbing and graphic side-by-side images she would often post of me next to unflattering creatures and cartoon characters making constant comments about my weight. I was confused at what she was getting at. Then, when I heard what she was saying behind closed doors from mutual friends and started inserting herself into my personal life, I was definitely disturbed. So let's dissect this comment for a minute. Lana defends. So Lana makes the video of her song, and in this song, she's attacking Ethel Cain. Lana, people are talking about the attack from Ethel Cain. Lana gets tagged in a post about people talking about this attack. She goes to the comments and she defends her attack with three claims she makes about Ethel Cain. One, being that Ethel Cain makes memes that make fun of Lana's weight. Number two, that Ethel Cain was saying things to mutual friends, presumably negative, about Lana behind closed doors. And number three, that Ethel Cain was inserting herself into Lana's personal life. So let's analyze these three claims. The first one I'm going to analyze is the third one, which is that she was inserting herself into Lana's personal life. This one's obviously true. I assume Lana's talking about Ethel Cain taking the photo with Jack Donahue, who would be a part of Lana's personal life. And Lana even mentioned it in the song. So I assume that's what she's talking about, was she was talking about her inserting herself into Jack Donahue. Now let's go back to the first claim. The first claim was that Ethel Cain made memes making fun of her weight. Maybe it exists in private. After looking thoroughly, 8 hours of research, there is no public evidence of Ethel Cain making memes about Lana, but maybe they were shared on like text messages or group chat or in person. This is unverifiable. I can't say this is true. The second claim was that Lana heard from mutual friends that Ethel Cain was talking crap. Again, that's obviously private, so I can't verify if that's true or not. But I can say it's fair to assume they do have mutual friends. We can assume that part of the accusation to be true. If Ethel Cain is in some way friends with Jack Donahue to take that photo, Jack Donahue being Lana's ex-boyfriend, we can reasonably conclude that there is some overlap there. Lana is the girlfriend of this guy. She definitely knows him. That could be a mutual friend, as well as his friends. So there's definitely mutual friends between the two. So that part we can assume to be true. They have mutuals. If she was saying crap in private, I don't know. Only Ethel Cain can know, and those friends, and I guess Lana if she was told about that. Then, following this fiasco, Lana, according to Ethel Cain, blocked her. And that's all the beef we have at the moment. That's all the public information. That's all we have. That's it. That we have Ethel Cain distancing herself repeatedly, taking pot shots at Lana in between. And then we have the song, and then the comment, and then the blocking. That's what we have. Out of all of the stuff we have, the most important part of this beef is the Lana comment, because this is what went probably the most viral, or at least what provided us the most context to the beef. On this comment, there are two camps. One camp is that Lana is telling the truth, and Ethel Cain made fun of Lana's weight, therefore Lana is right to respond about this. We don't love body shaming that's bad, so Lana's right to defend herself. And then the second camp is that Lana is in some way evil, whether we'll get into the accusations of evil in a second, but for whatever reason that she's evil, she hates Ethel Cain because of this evil or ulterior motive. And most people fall on the latter. Most people are like, well, Lana's clearly evil, because in the public, the mass of the public is not on Lana's side about this, because it just comes across as random and unprovoked. Ethel Cain's attacks, if we call them that, were very private. They were on public social media posts, but it's not like it didn't have the traction as Honeymoon, Lana Del Rey posting on her Instagram a song snippet. So they come across as unprovoked. It's not like yesterday Ethel Cain came out and said she hates Lana and said all these bad things, So despite there being context for Lana's defense, it just comes across as unprovoked. It also doesn't help at all that Lana is 40, and this kind of like childish beef can just come across as like she should be kind of past this. And so while this defense of Lana's is not exactly unprovoked, it can come across that way to many people who cannot verify the accusation that Lana was body shamed. Additionally, it's kind of funny to kind of question what Lana's talking about when she talks about like side-by-side images, what are effectively memes of her being crapped on. Like, what does that mean? Like, compared to cartoon characters, like what? She was compared to like Peter Griffin, SpongeBob. What does that mean? A lot of people are rumoring that she was compared to Peter Griffin. I can't verify that. That's just murmurs that people are saying. Probably just a joke. I don't know. But that's very funny to me. But let's get back into these camps. Because I mentioned earlier, people were saying, well, Lana has this ulterior thoughts or hatred for Ethel Cain that's causing her to make stuff up. From this pro Ethel Cain argument that Lana hates Ethel, the most prominent, I would say, accusation is that Lana is jealous of Ethel Cain. The prominent accusation is Lana's jealous of Ethel Cain. Ethel Cain is so popular right now because she just released her recent album, Will Be Tucker. And so she's in the news cycle, and Lana is bothered by this because she has just fallen out the news cycle all year. And when she's in it, it's because people don't like the person she's marrying or speculation of viewpoints of hers. And so the accusation is that Lana is jealous of Ethel Cain and Ethel Cain's new success. The derivative conclusion, therefore, is that Lana is jealous, so she made up the body shaming part as an excuse for the song that she created that people didn't like, because the song was created because she was jealous of Ethel Cain and was unreasonably bothered by her post with Jack Donahue because she was jealous of Ethel Cain, and most recently because of her success with Will Be Tucker. However, to my knowledge, this song has nothing to do with Will Be Tucker. It has existed in some form since 2023. She did not just make this song 2 days ago to diss Ethel Cain because she was jealous of Will Be Tucker. This leak has existed, this leak being known as All About Ethel, on Lana's fandom page. Here is the first edition of this article from 2023 called Going Down in Flames. Going Down in Flames happening to be a lyric from the song that Lana showed. This song, by June 29th of 2024, was known to be a song called All About Ethel, which seems to be an addressment of Ethel Cain, and presumably Ethel Cain's actions and attacks byproduct of her trying to distance herself from Lana, and Lana Del Rey's addressment of Ethel Cain. All about Ethel. So definitely was not made because she was jealous of her recent success at all. So that's the information I've uncovered. That's the information we have. Final conclusions on it, I guess, is that I guess I'll ask the question. The accusation, the essential accusation here is, if we are to defend what Lana did, assuming that the body shaming was true, the question is, was Lana body shamed? Obviously, presumption of innocence. There's no proof of this. I cannot verify this. I cannot hold this against Ethel Cain because I have no evidence of this happening. But I will say it doesn't seem out of the realm of possibility of someone who talked about pushing Lana down and running away, because as stated earlier, Ethel Cain is the queen of controversy, and in many ways, with her public distancing of herself from Lana, she comes across in many ways as vindictive of her former idol, attaching that shadow that's been placed on her by Lana Del Rey by critics. She's become kind of vindictive of Lana because of that, and a lot of her actions seem not just out of defending herself, but in many ways, like especially the pushing her down or removing her from a wiki page. Lana is become synonymous in a way with bothering her. It's like she's tearing down her idol. It's like Syndrome in The Incredibles tearing down his poster of Mr. Incredible. And so he's tearing down her idol. It's like, screw this. I'm the bad guy now. For that matter, Lana is also a queen of controversy. So she sees something, she steps up, she makes a song. But Ethel Cain also kind of just does what she wants. And she's an independent artist in many ways for this reason. So it's not outside of the realm of possibility that someone that does what she wants and has a reason to be bothered by Lana, I guess, and is clearly in some way bothered by Lana and the shadow it's placing on her artistry. It's not out of the realm possibility. Ethel Cain makes memes all the time and just posts whatever. She is so Gen Z about that kind of stuff. She has her Tumblr, her Pinterest, like she's so Gen Z. So it wouldn't be surprising, but I can't conclude that, and that's all we have. That's all the context. What is a really small back and forth, if we can even call it that, because there's not even a fourth from Ethel Cain, has a whole plethora of context that is very confusing and in many ways goes a lot deeper than you would expect. The real controversy here should be that the song lyrics are kind of just like too on the nose and aren't great, and that the song doesn't seem that interesting. Although apparently Nicki Minaj thinks this is the greatest thing ever, so maybe I'm wrong. I'm sure she knows more than I do about what makes a good melody, what makes good lyrics. Maybe she doesn't, but she's in love with the song apparently. So maybe I'm wrong, but that's all that we have for this saga as of now. It doesn't seem like Ethel Cain is going to respond. Maybe she will when the song releases officially, but as of now, it's been a day, and there is nothing from her side other than saying that she got blocked by Lana and laughing about it. So that's it. That's all we have. The girls were fighting. I was going to make a quick video on this, but the context got so deep on what I uncovered, I had to go through it all and share it with you guys. So thank you so much for tuning in. As always, have a good day. God bless. Goodbye. Bye-bye.